Penguin Random House Audio presents Cosmic Love at the Multiverse Hair Salon by Annie Mare. Read for you by Hutchinson-Shaw. For Ruth. Time after time after time after time. October 1st. Tressa Fay Robeson fluffed her dark French bob and slapped 2 Post-its over her nipples, then bent one arm over her head and grasped her wrist with the opposite hand. She widened her stance and lifted her chin at her phone on the stand, popping off a series of pictures with her remote. Right now, everything was perfect. There was butternut squash and cheese tortellini soup on the stove. All her plants, and she had dozens, were perky and vibing cheerfulness. Epinephrine, her best boy orange tabby, had obliged her photo sesh by hanging on the back of the sofa, just in view of the camera. Her pictures would have looked even hotter if she hadn't had to use the Post-its to escape Instagram's censors, but they were still definitely solid. Someone knocked on her apartment door. Damn. "Tressa Fay!" Mary shouted through the door. "We know you're higa baiting in there, but we're your best friends, so you have to let us in." "I'm naked," Tressa Fay called out. "So, you cut hair at the salon today with visible underboob." That was unfair. Tressa Fay had worn a full coverage bra under her tiny crop top. Her eponymous salon was always a little warm. Also, her clients took a lot of pictures. Many of them waited for months for their booking with her, and some drove long distances or even flew into Green Bay to have their hair cut because they followed her platforms or had read about her in a magazine. To reward their efforts, she liked to put on a little bit of a show. She opened the door. "Good night!" Guy put their hands over their eyes. "Some advance warning would be appreciated." Mary, Guy, and Linz came in, Guy keeping their eyes resolutely on the floor. Linz trailed a finger over Tressa Fay's shoulder blades as she walked past. Linz was like a crab. She explored her environment by feel and liked to sun in a pile of other bodies. Tressa Fay grabbed a cardigan off a chair and put it on. "I told you I was naked." "Naked? I could handle." Guy sat in Tressa Fay's rocking chair, their hair out of its characteristic bun and tumbling in pale waves to their waist. "Naked is natural. Whatever it is that you have on suggests something outside of nature." Guy liked to play the part of the prim miss. Tressa Fay shrugged, reached into the cardigan, and plucked the Post-it pasties off the black mesh bra top of her brown velvet bodysuit. She'd received it gratis, along with the matching thigh harnesses, from an indie lingerie designer who wanted to be on her feed. Being outside of nature is what makes it so good. Linz collapsed her long legs and spread out along the floor, smiling at Tressa Fay. "It's a bodysuit," Tressa Fay told Guy, "which is perfectly regular." Linz wrinkled her nose. "Bodysuit is the worst word ever. Like, you're getting out of bed and you're a skeleton and then you tug your legs into a bodysuit." "That's how I felt before I got top surgery," Guy said. "But now I just feel myself." Linz laughed and they leaned over and high-fived her. "I have an agenda," Mary directed this stern remark to Tressa Fay, "which is you out with us at the tap room." Guy and Linz and Tressa Fay went all the way back to elementary school, but Mary had only joined their group 4 years ago, after Tressa Fay hired her to work in the salon. Mary's agendas kept the rest of them from snuggling into a rut. "No." Tressa Fay lay down on the rug next to Linz, who reached out to hold her hand. "Your agenda will mess up my plan." "This is your plan?" Mary circled her finger around the apartment, which Tressa Fay had mood-lit with a million candles as soon as she got home, before putting on her mom's old Bikini Kill record, misting the plants and making the soup. All of which was better by an enormous factor than numbing herself with her phone or streaming shows while wondering why she couldn't find a girl to make soup and listen to records from the 90s with. Tressa Fay loved this cozy world she'd made for herself. She also loved how the mythical girl in her imagination wasn't cheating on her, complaining about cat hair, or wishing Tressa Fay were something she wasn't. "It's hopeless, Mary." Linz put her head on Tressa Fay's shoulder. "Once our girl here starts taking sexy pictures with soup on the stove, she's only getting freaky with herself." "True," Tressa Fay said. "True, true." She deliberately did not look at Mary. Despite how emotionally close Tressa Fay was to Linz and Guy, they didn't know every part of the sad story of her last relationship, whereas Mary had greater knowledge and also had caught Tressa Fay opening dating apps a couple of times. Mary knew Tressa Fay's wound was now a healed-over scar and that she was a romantic. Couldn't help it. Also, Mary had brokered more love matches for her friends and family than it was safe to ignore. She had powers. "I told this extremely fine girl about you last night, and she said she'd probably be at the tap room around 9, Mary complained. There it was. I don't do bars, as you know. Tressa Fay ignored the small flare of interest low in her belly that had fired in response to the words, extremely fine girl. It had been a long time since she looked at an attractive person across a table and tried to figure out if they liked what they saw while her nerves fluttered. A long time since she held someone, their body fitted against hers. She did, in fact, need that. But she did not want anything to do with the usual ways to get there. Bars, apps, loud restaurants with heavy menus. "But it's not a bar, it's the tap room," Mary said. "Very low-key, like the key of low, only dogs, and very chill, hot people can hear in this key. And you haven't been out in forever, so it would be good for you, even if you're not interested in this painfully gorgeous person I found for you and didn't even keep for myself." Mary fluffed the dark honey blonde shag Tressa Fay had touched up before they closed the salon today. She should have known that if Mary was begging for a cut at the tail end of the day, she was dreaming up one of her agendas. "She's not going," Linz said, fixing her false eyelashes and her selfie camera. "I'm not going," Tressa Fay smiled. "But I love you very much. What am I supposed to do about this dishy woman who is going to meet us there?" Tressa Fay narrowed her eyes. "You said she was probably going to be there, as in, incidentally. Same thing. You can give her my number." Mary sighed, then stood up. "I love you, so I will try to understand. I could loan you some books about introversion." Guys stretched their arms over their head. "There are different types." Tressa Fay had a dusty stack of books Guy had given her when they were worried about her after her breakup. Guy was a lawyer. They genuinely believed any problem could be studied its way out of. After a quick round of hugs, Tressa Fay briefly finger-styled Mary's new cut and kissed Linz's glossy brown pixie, and her friends left. She put her back to the door, smiling to herself. The evening was hers. She strode across her tiny living room, dropping her cardigan, then ladled herself an enormous bowl of soup with lots of Parmesan, flipped over the album on her turntable, and curled up on the sofa, nearly purring over each tortellini. It had taken her such a long time to figure out that the best way to give other people what they wanted was to make sure she had everything she needed.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?